Oh, can you hear me? I don't know if we're having audio issues, but I'm an atheist.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, what do you think is convincing about atheism?
Well, I mean, it does depend on your conception of God, but basically all common conceptions of God, I don't think there's anything that concept maps onto or that description refers to. That includes Christianity, and other Semitic traditions and first cause and that kind of stuff.
What do you think about transcendental argument?
I don't really think it's a good argument.
Why is that?
Well, every time the argument is run, it just seems to beg the question.
How would I mean? It's a formal. You could put it as a formal argument. So how would that beg the question?
Formal arguments can beg the question.
Yeah, but I'm saying that you can chart it out in the sense of you could put it out like X is a necessary condition of Y therefore X. So do you think the form itself is invalid, or do you think that the way it's presented is invalid?
Oh, no, it's not invalid in virtue of its form. I mean, like you can have question begging arguments can be valid.
Okay, but I'm saying, do you think that the way that tag is presented when you stick God in, or is it the form of the argument itself that's no good, in your view?
Again, the form, it's a kind of informal fallacy begging the question. Technically, question begging arguments are formally valid.
Not begging the question, though.
Okay, well, that's what remains to be seen. Every time it's been presented, it tends to beg the question.
So that's why I'm asking you. Do you think that if I say X is a necessary condition of Y therefore X, do you think that's okay or not?
The form is fine, but you understand, informal fallacies are there. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Informal fallacies, that's a problem with content, not with the form of the argument.
Formal fallacy is. So I'm trying to get you to tell me specifically where it's begging the question.
Well, I mean, you do the impossibility of the contrary thing, right? You try to support the first premise. So something like there's intelligibility or insert whatever transcendental, and there, God is a precondition for that transcendental or that intelligibility. And then when I ask to support that premise, it's then the move is to say that the contrary is impossible. But that's precisely what needs to be shown.
If it destroys the possibility of knowledge, then it's impossible.
Okay, but I don't see how it would do that, right? That's just a claim.
It's not a claim. If you posit something that doesn't ground or give an account for a precondition of knowledge, then knowledge is not possible.
If you posit something, well, I don't take atheism to be some view of like an epistemological view. It's not supposed to account for anything. Just like I don't believe in unicorns. That's not supposed to account for transcendentals.
That's the problem. So now you're trying to have knowledge claims and skirt the giving an account for how knowledge is possible. So you have to give an account for epistemology.
I mean, sure. I mean, I could see why you would say that, but atheism again is not a position that asserts like anything about it epistemological.
That's not true. You do.
Well, why? What about atheism implies a particular?
Because any knowledge claim requires justification for that knowledge claim. So even for you to say that atheism doesn't posit knowledge claims is a knowledge claim.
No, well, first of all, they're atheists that say they believe, and they don't even claim to know. They just believe.
I don't care what the other atheists say. Your position.
I'm saying atheism is not defined in terms of knowing that God doesn't exist.
I'm not talking about specific knowledge about theism. I'm talking about any knowledge claim. Everybody has epistemology.
Let's reset, right? Do you take atheism to be a view in epistemology?
Atheism requires some epistemic content to have any claims at all.
Maybe you're going to have to break that down for me because I don't know.
If I have to break that down for you, then you're not ready for a debate because that should be.
Well, I don't think it has to do with my concern. My concern is that you think atheism has to have all these commitments epistemologically, like has to account for truth, justification, transcendentals. I don't think
because you got pinpointed on something that is obvious and you don't want to get into it.
Again, you're not making sense, right? You're saying atheism has all these commitments, like all these epistemological commitments about the nature of truth.
No, it's a very simple objection, and I'm asking you about knowledge claims at all. And I'm asking you for justification for any knowledge claim. And you're saying I don't have to do that.
But what does that have to do with you supporting the premises of the tag argument?
Because tag can be laid out as an ontological argument, or it can be laid out as an epistemic argument. So I'm going into the epistemology angle of it.
All I'm pointing out is that for you to defend your argument, you don't have to ask me questions about my epistemology.
But I do, if it's an argument about paradigms, and that is.
You're saying that your argument relies on questioning me about my own view?
Because it's an argument about paradigms.
Look, it might be that I don't know anything about epistemology. That doesn't help you support your own premises.
He doesn't understand. So once you start, he makes knowledge claims, and once you ask for justification, he says, I don't have to do it. Exactly.